All right, this was highly anticipated because a lot of people wanted to hear what my thoughts on the Le'Veon Bell situations were now that it's since come to a conclusion. Well, not necessarily, because at the tail end of this season, going into the offseason, we'll figure out what's going on, whether there's another franchise tag that's put on the table, which I'd highly doubt that's going to be the case, transition tag, or what's going to go on trying to shift this man around the league, dealing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, what we're going to do. So we'll get into that when we get there. But I'm wearing this for one particular reason. I'm not sure if you can see the bottom numbers, but this is Le'Veon Bell, obviously. Let me turn to the back, show you that it is indeed Le'Veon Bell. But now what we're talking about here is him refusing to come and play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, refusing to report to the facility so he can get credit for the 2018 football season. This is how I feel about it. All right? I'm a bit conflicted. I have cognitive dissonance about it because I understand from both sides. My issue with Le'Veon Bell is this: the lack of transparency and the communication. I do feel as if, as a fan, I was betrayed. I feel as if the organization, in a sense, was betrayed as well. Because not only do you come out here and after you do turn down your deal and can't come to an agreement, you will go and, you put out a tweet saying this is going to be your best season yet. And on top of that, you continue to put out different, saying stuff to different reporters. Well, not necessarily reporters, but agents who go in, they'll play telephone and then tell the news, hey, we're going to be coming in on week 8 or week 7, or we're going to report Labor Day and all this other manure that ended up coming out of your mouth about when you decided when you were going to show up, and ultimately you did not show up. However, on the organization side, I understand where Le'Veon's frustrations are because they offered him a $70 million contract. However, there's a lot of intricacies that people don't see. For example, it was reported that it was $33 million that was guaranteed. And the rest of the money following the first 2 years, because the first 2 years, I believe they said they were going to pay out the $33 million guaranteed, and then the remainder of the 3-year deal, because it was 5 years, $70 million, none of those were going to be guaranteed at all. Evidently, that's something that Le'Veon Bell did not like. It irked him the wrong way, and he did not sign the contract. In a sense, I understand, because it's really only $70 million, 33 guaranteed, that's it. You compare it to somebody like Todd Gurley, who it was number 1 and 2. Le'Veon Bell, 1, Todd Gurley, number 2, or however you really feel about it. That's your own opinion about who was the best running back in the league at the tail end of last year. If you watched the NFL Top 100, you saw the players voted Le'Veon Bell to be the top running back. So they saw Todd Gurley, or I should say, Le'Veon Bell and his agent, they saw Todd Gurley get a $75 million contract, 45 of that guaranteed, and the remainder of the 35 in that contract, or I should say the remainder of the 30 million in that contract was in guarantees. So he'll probably see all of that money. Le'Veon's case, you're going to see 33 for sure, and then if you were to get injured on the 3rd year or something like that, that's catastrophic, you're not seeing anything else. So he wanted to be secure in his deal. And in a sense, I understand why he felt slighted, because he wanted to try to change the market for running backs. Now, granted, anybody who knows football over the couple past years, or I should say throughout the entire history of football, you don't pay no running backs that kind of money when they're at that age, going into, being 27, going into 28, because the shelf life for a running back is extremely short. It's only a few running backs who can still produce into their 30s and stuff. That's why the number is so small. The Frank Gores, the Adrian Petersons, the Emmitt Smiths of the world, the Edgerrin James of the world. Actually, we can't even really say Edgerrin James of the world. Nonetheless, we're not getting into the numbers over here. But in Le'Veon's case, him trying to get that money, it's not really feasible. But I understand his argument. My issue here was the lack of transparency between both sides, because Pittsburgh, when the players started to come out and then speak out, I had an issue with that as well, because you have this man's number. I'm all for direct sort of, if you have something that you want to say, you say it to the person. You don't got to go out and talk to the media. We already have enough issues inside Steelers Nation already. We had the 2 years ago, the Antonio Brown and Facebook. Then last year, we got all this other stuff going on, infighting inside the locker room. We don't need that. If you have an issue, address the person directly. You have their number. There's no reason to say, oh, I thought this guy was for the team. Oh, I thought this. Call him. Talk to him. Now you're in a situation where Ben Roethlisberger said that he reached out to Le'Veon Bell and said, hey, whether you're going to come back or not, good luck in your future endeavors, and he never got a response back. Maybe the guys reached out to Le'Veon and there was no sort of response coming from him at all. But all these guys happen to be friends. You know where this man lives. You can always pull up on him. I'd highly doubt if you were to go to his house, he'll have security come out and tell you, no, you got to go back to Pittsburgh. You got a season to worry about. Get away from me. We're down here in Miami on jet skis. No, I'd highly doubt that was the case. All right? But it was a lack of transparency on both sides. Now, do I see Le'Veon returning as a Pittsburgh Steeler? I would highly doubt that's going to be the case. What also hurt his case, James Conner started to emerge. And he's playing at an all-pro level right now. In fact, this season he's playing as one of the top 5 running backs in the game. Does that mean he's a top 5 running back? No, because I don't consider anybody at least to elite status until I've seen them play 3 full seasons. Then I start to take you seriously. But people who are out here comparing numbers, like for example, the Steelers' offensive production without Le'Veon Bell has been substantially better than him being in the lineup. Now, granted, there's a lot of different things that take into account when we look at these analytics. More importantly, when you break down Conner's stats this season versus Le'Veon Bell's stats last season, you see Conner's doing much better. But there's a difference for that. You want to know what that is? Randy Fichtner versus Todd Haley. We already know as Pittsburgh Steelers fans over the course of the last 5 years, what has happened whenever we got inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the 5 with Todd Haley at the offensive coordinator. We have thrown the ball countless times. Remember the playoff game against the Kansas City Chiefs? What happened? 1 yard line. What happened? Big Ben tries to throw the ball at Antonio Brown. Point bang into the air. Intercepted. How many times have we seen stuff like that happen? Settling for field goals. That's credited to the offensive coordinator's failures to go and just hand the ball. Remember that Monday night game against San Diego? I believe they were San Diego at the time. 2 years ago when Le'Veon scored the game-winning touchdown at the end of regulation. That's what we were wanting to see. When we're inside the 5, hand the ball to Le'Veon, but what kept happening? We're throwing the ball. Now we see Fichtner going and giving the ball to Conner, and we're punching it into the end zone. There's many different things that attribute to the stats looking the way that they do. But when it comes to running the football on the ground, you saw the consistency of Le'Veon Bell. However, there's the injuries as well. Availability is a big time thing. Le'Veon has missed a good number of games, and on top of that, 2014, you had the injury, Reggie Nelson, bam, into his knee. He can't play. We get eliminated by the Ravens in a season where it looked like the stars were aligning for us to possibly go to a Super Bowl. Following year, what happens? Vontez Burfict, bam, into the knee, torn ACL. What happens? We go into the playoffs. There is no Le'Veon Bell. Then there's some talks about him possibly coming back to play against, who did we play in the first round? Was it Miami? No. Who did we play in the first round there? Cincinnati. And then we went on and then we lost in the divisional Fitzgerald Toussaint fumble. But if we had Le'Veon Bell, possibly that particular year, we could have maybe made a run because we had Denver on the ropes. Think about if we had a running back who had a secure hand who doesn't put the ball on the floor, we could have possibly made a run. 2016, what happens? AFC Championship. Mike Groen, he can't play anymore. So availability is a big time thing. That is also a key factor why he did not get the contract from the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a lot of things that led to this point. People say, oh, it's crazy that you don't pay somebody like this, but there's so many stuff that there's a lot of things that have to be taken into account here. So I understand both sides. I'm not one of those people who's going to go out there or you're going to burn your Le'Veon. So, no, I appreciate the man for everything that he did for the Pittsburgh Steelers because let's just be honest. He was our best running back since Jerome Bettis in his prime. He was better than Willie Parker, and there's no debate about that. Way better than Mendenhall, way better than Dwyer when we had him in the backfield for a couple of times, or Mewelde Moore and all the other guys that we had. He was our best back since Jerome Bettis in his prime. Now we're moving on to Conner, and our hope that Conner is able to stay healthy and keep the same production moving forward. It's unfortunate we couldn't hold on to Bell. I wish him the best in his future endeavors, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have to do what the Pittsburgh Steelers do, and that's move on. We already have that of a history of not paying people when we wanted to pay people. I understand, but there's a certain things that you got to be able to assimilate to. Like Mike Tomlin said, you want volunteers, you don't want hostages. So I understand where he's going with that. So to Le'Veon, I appreciate everything that you did. This is my thoughts on it. I see the cognitive dissonance. You guys can let me know what you feel in the comment section. A lot of people saying, well, he's selfish. He's already making this kind of money. How would you turn that money regarding the franchise tag? I understand why you guys would have that sort of concern. Why would you turn down $14.5 million, I believe it was, on the franchise tag? However, look what happened to Earl Thomas. That didn't help the case at all. You had a guy who was playing with no contract on a franchise tag. Bam, you got a broken leg. I understand why Earl Thomas flipped off his team going off the field. Yeah, you won a Super Bowl with the team. Yeah, you a perennial All-Pro with the team. However, they didn't take care of you regarding a contract to secure you moving forward. Guys in this NFL, it's nothing different than us. It's just they're getting millions of dollars, but you can get paid great for the first 5 or some years, and then after that, the team would end up turning on you like you saw happen with countless number of players. So I understand the situation. And again, just to wrap things up, Le'Veon, I appreciate you for everything that you did for this organization. I wish you the best in the future endeavors, but as for the Pittsburgh Steelers, we will be moving on with Connor. As Pete Carroll, as Dick Vermeil once said regarding the injury to Trent Green, and then Kurt Warner comes in, we will rally around James Conner the same way the Rams rallied around Kurt Warner, and hopefully this can end in a Super Bowl trophy and the 7th Lombardi being lifted in Pittsburgh. Here we go, Steelers. I wish you the best, Le'Veon, and I'm done. Let me know in the comments what you guys feel about it. We can have a whole conversation. In fact, this morning I am open up until the Steelers game starts, and I will start recording the commentary for everything. So we will have a back and forth. We'll have some conversation about it. I love the dialogue. I'm here for it. So you guys let me know what you think about this entire situation. Let's talk about it.